Okay guys, so we're back again with the pen and paper style. So for today, we will discuss property dividends and scrip dividends. So what are property dividends? So as I've already mentioned in the prior videos that we had, so property dividends, these are dividends declared by the board of directors which are payable not in cash but in other type of assets. Okay, so it could be payable in the form of inventories or in the form of investment in securities or in stocks of the corporation of another corporation. So, parang sinasabi ko, si ABC company yung mother company mo, yung mismo corporation kung saan ka nag-invest, then si ABC Corporation ay mayroong shares kay XYZ. So, siya, investment niya yun. So, pag binigay niya yun sa'yo, dahil asset niya yun, so, tinatawag din natin yun na property dividends. But other than that, of course, we can also uh, declare, or we can also have a property dividend in the form of other properties like the PPEs. We have the land and the building and whatsoever. Okay, so how do we account for property dividends? Actually, when it comes to the basic corporate accounting, hindi naman natin dinidiscuss talaga yung asset side ng property dividends, and because of that, this type of dividend is the easiest to do the journal entry. Okay, so dahil alam naman na natin na yung dividends ay binibigay lang naman sa outstanding shareholders at hindi sa lahat ng issued. Okay? So hindi ko nababalikan ng buo yung reason bakit ganon. So property dividend. So let's assume this problem. Okay guys, so we're back with the problem. So how do we measure property dividends? Actually, property dividends are measured somewhat the same on the side of the asset and on the liability, but meron lang silang pagkakaiba when it comes to those assets na hindi investments, okay? Or yan, tama nga, hindi investments kasi may ibang ruling na papasok doon. But for now, let's discuss first a property dividend or property dividends which are investment in stocks. So, to record property dividends on the part of on the company's liability, okay? So, alam naman natin na sa retained earnings yan tatanggalin, but we record the liability using its updated fair market value. Okay? Ibig sabihin, kung magkano yung fair market value niya, that is how we will record the liability. And then if it goes higher, we adjust entries, okay? And make it higher. Then, kung namang bumaba naman, so we adjust entries, and then pabababain din natin yung inutang natin. On the part of the asset, okay? So, ang ruling naman natin on the part of the asset is update before distribution, okay? And update before recording the liability. So, update asset first, okay? Update asset, then tsaka natin i-record sa retained earnings. So let's have this problem para mas magets ninyo. So problem A is about investment in stocks declared as a property dividend. So BSMA Corporation declared its investment in ACC Corporation as a property dividend for its outstanding shareholders on July 2, 2020. The shares were originally bought at 750,000. I forgot to mention that there are 100,000 shares, but has an 800,000 fair market value as of the declaration date. So, the cost of the shares was 750, okay, when it was originally bought. But on the declaration date, which was July 2 on this problem, it has a fair market value of 800,000. And since the rule when recording property dividend is to use its fair value, okay, so we have to update first the asset. So let's look on both asset and liability side of this investment. Okay, so on the asset side, okay, on the asset side, our asset has a cost of 750. So normally, it would be recorded at 750 initially. Okay, but then on the date of declaration, on the date of declaration, its fair market value has become 800,000. So, for this to become 800,000, okay, so we have to add 50,000. And that's on the part of the asset, we call it unrealized gains on investments or insecurities. Okay? So, meron tayong ganun. Anyway, magigas nyo din yan pag nagkaroon na tayo ng lecture video on investments. Okay? So, this 50,000 increase will now be recorded as investments. Okay? So, let's put it as investment na lang. 50,000. And then, credit unrealized gain. Unrealized talaga yan kasi hanggat hindi mo yan redistribute or hindi mo yan nabebenta, diba? So, alam mo lang na tumaas yung value niya pero wala naman talagang nangyari sa'yo. So, unrealized pa yung gain niya. Okay, so that's on the part of the asset. Since the asset is already updated, now we can already record the liability. Okay, so upon declaration, on the date of declaration, so we have an entry, and the entry must be to record the property dividends payable. Okay? So, since the fair market value is 800,000 and the rule on recording property dividends is the updated fair market value, so papakita ko sa inyo later paano yun. So, we'll start first with 800,000. So, we will debit retained earnings for 800,000 and credit property dividends payable for 800,000. Okay. So, now meron na tayong ganyan. But on the problem states, okay, on the date of record, there are 100,000 shares outstanding. So, di naman natin yan kailangan kung hindi naman tatanungin kung magkano yung magiging per share dividend. A month before distribution, these shares were selling at 8 pesos and 25 centavos each. So, sabi ko nga, kung meron tayong 100,000 shares, sorry, hindi ito yon no? But kundi ito, no? Kung ilang shares to. So, which in count would total 825,000 pesos. So, from 800,000 na liability, so ito yung recorded natin na liability. Let's make a T account here. So, our property dividends payable is an outstanding 800,000 here. Okay? Pero sabi natin, the liability must be updated. Okay? As well as the asset din naman. Okay, so this will be 800,000. So, this is 800,000 and it shall be 825,000. Since hindi pa rin naman natin siya i-distribute pero nagkaroon tayo ng knowledge that there has been a change on the fair market value, so we have to do something about it. So from 800,000, magiging magkano na yung utang natin? Magiging 825, which means kailangan natin magdagdag ng 25,000 na property dividends payable. And to account for that, we will need to adjust our debit to retained earnings. Kasi nga, ang dinideduct natin sa retained earnings from the date of declaration is only 800,000. Wherein, sabi natin, since the liability must be recorded in its updated fair market value, so dapat maging 825,000 na rin yung ating ibabawas sa retained earnings. So, 800,000, so meron na tayo niyan, kaya 25,000 na lang kulang. So, we debit retained earnings at 25,000. And then credit property dividends payable at 825 at 25,000. In that case, adjusted na ang ating retained earnings na i-debit, then adjusted na rin ang ating property dividends payable. On the part of the asset, from 800,000 it became 825,000. So magkakaroon ulit tayo ng panibagong adjusting entry. Okay? So, dahil nagkaroon tayo ng adjusting entry and pataas yan, so we have another unrealized gain. So, the entry would be a debit to investment, 25,000, and credit unrealized gain, Now that it's already updated, so let's move on with the problem. On the date of distribution, the fair market value of the investment is 795,000. So the thing here is, on the date of distribution, instead of having a gain, no, so nagkaroon pa tayo ng loss. Okay? But since i-distribute na natin siya, so actually, dito, pwede na nating pagsamahin na lang yung entry nila. So what will happen? Okay? So our asset is recorded at 825 as well as our liability. But then it came to our knowledge that the fair market value of the investment as of the date of distribution is at 795. Anyway, just a little reminder, on the date of record, there will be no entry. Okay? On the date of distribution, or the date of payment, so this will be the scenario. Okay? So the property dividends payable is only 790. It must be 795 only. So, pwede natin siyang i-adjust or pwede naman na natin pagsamasamahin na lang yung entry. Pero in this case, take natin yung step-by-step process. So, from 825, it is now 795,000, which means mababawasan yung utang natin ng 30,000 pesos. Okay. So, the entry is simply to reverse the first entries that we made. Okay. So, meron tayong dito. So, kung pag dinadagdagan natin yung utang, we debit the retained earnings and we credit the PDP. So, ngayon nababawasan natin, we will debit the liability for 30,000 and credit the retained earnings for 30,000. Ngayon, dahil updated na siya, so pwede na natin siyang bayaran. Okay? So, debit property dividends payable, magkano na lang, yun na lang, 795,000, and then credit investments for 795,000. Pero, paano nangyari yun? Eh, di ba meron nga tayo dito na asset natin is recorded not as 795,000 but as 825,000. So, on this date, we will record the loss. So, meron na tayong loss. Okay? So, dahil ipapamigay mo na yan and nakita mo na talaga yung mismong loss na yan, that is already realized. So, no need to put unrealized. Kasi nga, dyan, alam mo na talaga na nalugi ka kasi ipapamigay mo na and kumbaga mararamdaman mo na talaga yung pagkabawas nung amount ng iyong asset. So, we have loss on distribution. Sometimes it's referred to as that. So, pwede na rin loss on investment. So, we have 30,000 and credit investment 30,000. So, kung tutuusin, pagdating ng investments, yung dineclare natin, halos parehas lang naman ng entry on the side of the asset and on the side of the liability. So, dahil ayan na, so bayad na yan. So, pwede rin natin on the date of payment, pagsamasamahin na. So, our property dividends payable so far, kung hindi natin in-adjust, it will be 825. So, the entry would be property dividends payable 825. Okay? But then, yung retained earnings natin, no? So, yung retained earnings natin, dapat mabawasan. Kasi hindi naman talaga 825 i-minus natin sa retained earnings natin. So, dahil babawasan natin yung retained earnings, ilalagay natin siya sa, babawasan natin yung utang natin or yung ibabawas natin sa retained earnings. So, ibig sabihin, parang dadagdag pa, no? Idadagdag ulit natin yung 30,000. So, we will credit retained earnings 30,000. Okay? On the part of the investment is recorded at 825. So, kung hindi tayo nag-adjust, so it will be credit investment 825. And, dahil alam natin na nagkaroon tayo ng loss dun sa investment, we could have here, loss on distribution na 30,000. Which is actually, ayan din naman yung ginawa natin na entry dito. Okay? So, that's all for property dividends ng investment in stocks. Okay. So, kung mapapansin ninyo, no? So, this is 825, which is ito rin yun, yung ginawa natin na 30 and 795. Then, debit loss on distribution, we have 30,000. So, ito rin yun. Okay. Then, we have investment na 795 sa credit and 30,000 sa credit. Ito rin yun. Okay? So, retained earnings na nasa credit dahil binawasan natin yung iba, yung dapat na mababawas sa kanya dahil sa dividends, no? Ng 30,000. So, ito rin yun. Nagkataon lang na dito, pinagsama-sama natin. Pero, I advise na gamitin nyo pa rin yung long cut kasi mas naiisa-isa nyo talaga yung galaw ng values. Okay? So, now let's proceed to property dividends when it comes to other properties which is which could be buildings and land. Okay? Okay, so now let's have the second example. So in this case, the property dividend declared is a depreciable asset. Okay, so this is a building. So the problem goes like this. So BSMA Corporation declared its old building as a property dividend on September 5, 2020. The building has an original cost of 25 million but is halfway depreciated to its useful life without any salvage value. So therefore, its book value is already 12.5 million. Tama po ba? So we have 25. Okay. So we have here. So the book value is equal to 25 million na original cost multiplied by 1/2 dahil yun naman na yung ano niya. So this will be 12.5 million. Okay? On the date of declaration, the corporation determined that its fair market value is at 8 million. So, ito na naman. Sabi nga natin, before we declare a dividend, we must adjust first its price to its fair market value. And another thing that we need to consider is that if the property dividends declared is a building or a PPE, okay? So, once it has already been declared as dividend, so isa-set aside na natin siya and i-under na natin siya sa PFRS 5. So the same with non-current assets held for sale. But in this case, this will be a non-current asset held for distribution. Okay? Ibig sabihin, i-record na natin yung pagbaba niya as impairment loss. Okay? Then, kung tataas man siya, hindi siya pwedeng tumaas sa kanyang original na value, which is on this date is 12.5 million. And since this will be considered as non-current asset held for distribution, therefore, the asset will cease to have its depreciation. So, from this day on the date of declaration, wala na munang magiging depreciation sa kanya. Okay? So, and this will be distributed to outstanding shareholders on February 5, 2021. So, that will be the date of payment. On December 31, which is the balance sheet date, the fair market value of the building is at 9.5 million and on February 5, it went up to 13 million. So, eto na ngayon yung makikita nyo, yung difference between a property dividend declared na PPE siya and a property dividend declared na investments. So, yung kanina kasi investments, kaya kung makikita ninyo, pareho ng galaw yung asset tsaka yung liability. So, pag tumaas yung asset natin, tinataas talaga natin siya by recording the unrealized gain. Pag bumaba naman, binababa talaga natin siya by recording the unrealized loss. On the part of the liability, kanina, pag tumaas yung liability, so ina-adjust natin yung retained earnings as well as the property dividends payable. At kapag bumaba, ina-adjust din natin siya. So, ang end point naman ng property dividends is that at the date of payment, you will be paying this amount. Okay? Or you will be paying whatever is the updated fair market value of the property. Okay. So, let's have it here. So, the book value of our property is at 12.5 million. So, it will now be then it will now be then considered as a non-current asset held for distribution. Okay? So since on the date of declaration, its fair market value is not 12.5 million but rather 8 million. Okay? So, ang mangyayari niyan is on the date of declaration, magre-record agad tayo ng impairment loss. So, to record this, so on the asset side, so this will be the asset side. So, we will record non-current asset held for distribution building. So, magkano lang natin siya i-record? At 8 million pesos. And then, we will, then ang tatanggalin natin sa books natin ay yung mismong building. Nalimutan ko maglagay ng space. So, yung building natin is recorded at 25 million. Then, meron siyang accumulated depreciation na 12.5 million. Okay? So, dahil dyan, kulang pa rin to. So, yung binaba niyang value, which is 4.5 million actually, di ba? So, we have 12.5 minus yung 8 million. So, bumaba yung value niya ng 4.5 million. So, since this is a building, so, any decrease on the value, on the carrying value or the book value will be treated as impairment loss. So, this will be a debit to impairment loss of 4.5 million. So, okay. So, that is on the part of the asset. On the part of the liability, so, dahil alam na nga natin na yung NCAPs natin ay, yung ating building ay 8 million. So, we just simply record it at fair market value. Kaya nga, actually, the property dividends, kung etong side lang naman na to, yung i-discuss natin, it's very easy. All you have to do is to follow whatever the updated fair market value of the property dividend is. So, on this side, it will be retained earnings, 8 million, and credit property dividends payable, dividends payable at 8 million. Okay. So, dahil tumawid siya ng taon, no? So, syempre, hindi natin maiiwasan that at the end of the balance sheet date, or on the balance sheet date mismo, no? At the date of the accounting period or calendar year, magkakaroon tayo ng idea kung magkano na yung updated fair market value nung ating asset. Now, on this problem, it was discovered that on December 31, it has a value of 9.5 million. So, from 8.5 million, okay, from 8 million, it became 9.5. So, the question is, paano ngayon yung gagawin sa asset? So, dahil under tayo ng PFRS 5, pag tumaas yung asset natin, no, ang ruling lang naman natin dito, hindi siya pwedeng tumaas sa kung ano lang siya dapat. Okay? So, dahil allowed naman siya na, di ba, ang value naman niya ay hanggang 12.5 on the date of declaration, okay? So, 12.5 million, dahil hindi pa naman siya umangat doon, actually, hindi natin, so, yan, 12.5 million, so, dahil 9.5 million lang naman yan, hindi naman siya lalagpas, so wala tayong magiging problema. Ang gagawin lang natin is, kumbaga, lalagyan lang natin, i-reverse lang natin yung impairment loss. Pero paano nga ba tayo nagre-reverse ng impairment loss? So, should we just simply credit this account impairment loss? So, magkano ba itinaas natin? Actually, di ba, 1.5 million. Okay? So, from 8 million, it became 9.5 million. So, what should we do here is to record impairment loss. NCAPs, NCAHFD, building, or yung mismong i-declare natin for disposal na building, dahil nga 9.5 million na pala siya, so dadagdagan natin ng 1.5 million kasi recorded na yung 8 million dito. Okay? Then, credit, gain on recovery from impairment, or pwede na yung gain on recovery. na 1.5 million. On this case, sa ating retained earnings naman, so we have debit retained earnings, syempre dahil tumaas ang ating fair market value, tataas din ang ating utang. So we have debit retained earnings for 1.5 million and credit property dividends payable for 1.5 million pesos also. Okay? Now, on February 5, tumaas pa siya, no? So it became 13 million. So normally, yung impairment natin, pwede lang natin siyang i-reverse sa amount na kung anong amount talaga siya in case na hindi siya dineclare as for distribution. So, ibig sabihin, i-depreciate natin siya ng dire-diretso, okay? Pero since hindi naman tayo binigyan dito, i-assume na lang natin na hindi naman umandar yung panahon. Sorry kung ganun yung assumption. Siyempre, hindi yun makatotohanan. Pero, since hindi naman sinabi kung paano siya made-depreciate pa, okay? And kung ilang taon ba talaga yung useful life niya. So, i-assume na lang natin na 12.5 pa rin yung ceiling natin, okay? Anyway, magkakaroon tayo ng panibagong video for PFRS 5. Okay, pero medyo matagal-tagal pa yon. So, here. So, 13 million na siya. Sabi natin, hindi siya pwedeng tumasa kung ano lang siya dapat. So, assuming na 12.5 million lang siya talaga dapat, okay, assuming na ito na yung adjusted niya na based on depreciation, so, ang mangyayari niyan, pwede lang siyang tumaas hanggang 12.5. And since 9.5 na siya, okay, so 3 million lang yung pwedeng maging gain on recovery. Parang ganito lang yan. You cannot recover what you really don't have in the first place. So kung ang meron ka lang talaga ay 12.5, kung bumaba man siya ng 8 million, ang pwede mo lang i-gain talaga, kumbaga, ang pwede mo lang talagang mabawi is 4.5 million na loss. Kasi kung ibabalik natin siya from 8 million, gagawin natin siyang 13 million. So 5 million, parang 5 million na loss yung nire-recover mo, which in this case, wala ka naman talagang 5 million na loss. Ang loss mo lang naman talaga is 4.5. So, since na-record na natin yung recovery ng 1.5, ang pwede mo na lang i-record na recovery ay 3 million. So, yun na lang yung natitira natin. Okay? Or simply, yun yung 9 million and 12.5 million na difference. So, we have to record non-current asset held for distribution, building, okay, at 3 million. Then, gain on recovery na 3 million. Okay? So, dahil ito na yun. So, it is as if hindi siya nagkaroon ng impairment loss. Parang 12.5 million siya nung dineclare mo, 12.5 million din siya ngayon. Okay? So, nasa na yung nawawala na 0.5 million. Okay? So, yung kalahating million, kasi nga 12.5 lang natin siya siniling. Ito na yung ceiling price. Pero umakit kasi siya ng 13 million. So, nasa na ngayon yung 500,000. So, the 500,000 will then be a gain on disposal. So, on this part, so 9.5 na rin yung naka-record niya, pero 13 million pala. So, ibig sabihin, dapat magdagdag tayo ng retained earnings na 3.5 million. Kasi 13 million yung updated fair market value. Basta't wag niyong kalilimutan that on the part of the retained earnings, on the part of the property dividends payable, kung ano yung updated, yun lang yung gagalawin natin. Okay? So, pag hindi naman tinatanong yung asset, wag na kayong magpalito sa mga rulings na to. So, we have retained earnings of 3.5 million. And then, yung property dividends payable natin, i-cancel na rin natin, magkano na yung recorded natin, 9.5 million. Okay? Kinakancel ko na, so ito po yun. So, we have 8 million before. Then, nagdagdag tayo ng 1.5. But then, ang ending pala, kailangan pala ay 13 million. Okay? So, dapat yan sana, magdadagdag pa tayo ng 3.5. Okay? Pero, kaysa gawin natin step by step, eto, pinagsama-sama ko na. Pero, pakita rin natin step by step later. Although, nagawa na natin yung first step para sa asset. So, the entry would be a debit to retained earnings for 3.5 million, a debit to PDP at 9.5 million, okay? And a credit to NCAPs ay encapped na 12.5. Remember na 12.5 lang natin siniling, di ba? So this is 13 million, this is 12.5. Now the difference is a gain kasi actually, di ba, sumobra ka pa ng nabawi mong loss. Ang loss mo ay 4.5 pero ang tinaas ng asset mo ay 5 million pa. So this will be a gain on distribution. 0.5 million. Okay? So, in this case, pantay na siya. Or pwede rin naman, kung hindi natin pagsasama-samahin na ganito, okay? So, pwede rin debit retained earnings, i-adjust mo muna, 3.5 million, and credit PDP, 3.5 million. So, in that case, yung PDP mo ay naangat na natin from 9.5, sorry, ito pala may 9.5, then, dagdagan natin ng 3.5, okay, para maging 13 million. So, now that the property dividends payable is already at 13 million, so the entry would be debit property dividends payable 13 million. But the thing is, again, your asset to be distributed or held for distribution is only at 12.5 million. Ibig sabihin, nagkaroon ka nga ng gain on distribution na 0.5 million. Okay? So, ito din yun. So, yung 3.5 nandito na. Yan. Ito din yun. Diba? Then, yung PDP dito, dinebit na natin yung ito, 9.5 million na. Pero dito, ginawa natin, meron tayong debit na 13, tsaka meron tayong credit na 3.5. So, pag pinagsama natin siya, yun din yung debit na 9.5. Then, ito, same lang. So, dito, pinagsama lang natin siya. So, that is how we compute for. Okay, so now let's have scrip dividends. So, scrip dividends, these are dividends declared by the company to, of course, again, lessen the amount of its retained earnings and to give back to its outstanding shareholders. But scrip dividends, they are in the form of notes or scripts, no, na it's like a promise from the board of directors that they will be getting paid. And from the date that they receive the scrip or from the date issued on the scrip, so nakalagay sa script kung anong date yung nakalagay doon, stated date doon. So, meron yung normally na interest. So, aside from the dividend that you will be earning, dahil nga hindi mo agad yun marireceive, so it's as if yung utang sa'yo ng company ay tumutubo. Okay? So, let's have this example. ACC Corporation declared a 5 pesos per share dividend to be paid through a 10% scrip. As of the date of record, there are 20,000 outstanding shares. So, it is payable or distributed, or it is payable 6 months after the date of declaration. Okay? So, on the date of declaration, so the entry would be a debit to retained earnings. So, that's how much. There are 20,000 outstanding shares and 5 pesos per share daw yung ibibigay natin. Ibig sabihin, the company will have a liability amounting to 100,000. So, this is 100,000. And then credit, scrip dividends payable for 100,000. Okay. Now, sabi natin dito, the scrip is bearing 10% interest. So, ibig sabihin, syempre, that is 10% interest per annum. Pag may lumipas na isang taon, yung dividends mo na 5 pesos lang, hindi na siya magiging 5 pesos lang. So, tutubo na rin siya. But then, sabi dito, it is payable 6 months after the date of declaration. So, on the date that the dividends, assuming that on the date of the declaration, the scripts were already issued, okay? So, once it's already paid, so on the date of issuance, okay, kung in-issue na siya date dito, scrip dividends payable, credit notes payable, or yung iba kasi hindi na dumadaan sa part na to. So, pwede rin naman na hindi na dumaan sa part na to kasi scrip dividends payable is already a notes payable, no? So, pwede na tayong hindi dumaan dyan. So, kung hindi man tayo dadaan dyan, so, ang gagawin natin dyan, dahil nga 6 months siya, So, magkakaroon siya ng interest. So, the interest would be the principal times the rate times the time. So, this will be 100,000 times 10% interest times 6/12. So, the interest is equal to 5,000 pesos. Now, on the date of payment, okay, so the date na babayaran na talaga natin yung mismong dividends kasi nga pinaghintay tayo dyan, no? So, the entry would be debit notes payable or scrip dividends payable kung hindi na tayo dumaan sa notes payable for 100,000. Then, syempre, dahil nga umandar na yung oras and nakalagay naman na meron tayong 10% na ma-earn, no, while we are waiting. So, yeah, the company would incur interest expense. So, the interest expense is 5,000 pesos. And then, ayun yung babayaran nila na cash. 105,000 pesos. Okay? So, ganun lang siya kadali. Nagkataon lang dito, basta't ang titingnan ninyo, ang start ng time is from the day na na-issue yung script. So, dito, in-assume natin that on the date of declaration, in-issue na rin agad yung script. Okay? So, nung binayaran siya 6 months after the issuance of the script, nag-run na yung interest. Okay? So, that's script dividends. Thank you.